Episode 54 KF. Imperial College is doing these smoke walks to see how widespread the impact of wood burners is on our air. The issue of wood burners is heading up the political agenda. Traffic emissions are being reduced, but the pollution from wood burners is increasing. Wood burners have become more fashionable. Data from Imperial College shows that 17% of PM 2.5 in London now comes from wood burning. The legislation controlling fires in London comes in part from the Clean Air Act in 1956, which followed the Great Smog in 1952 that killed thousands. London is a smokeless zone. It is an offense to emit dark smoke from a chimney, and coal burning is banned in urban areas. Only smokeless fuel can be burnt on an open fire. Recently, in London, only government-approved wood burners, called eco-stoves, are allowed. If you break the rules, you could face a fine of £1,000. Many are confused about the law, and enforcement is almost non-existent. How eco can stoves really be? The problem with the legislation, according to health campaigners, is whatever you burn, it still emits pollution and PM 2.5. Sarah Woolnow, from Asthma Plus Lung UK, says, a lot of these things are sold as eco-stoves, and that they're somehow good for the environment and good for health. The reality is they're not. Various reports show just how much pollution they're emitting. People need to be aware of the risks and understand what these stoves can be doing to health. Campaigner Jemima Hartson from Mums for Lungs agrees. She wants this kind of heating phased out entirely if people have alternative ways of heating their home. Domestic wood burning, whether in a stove or an open fire, is one of the main sources of PM 2.5, the most harmful of all pollutants, leading to respiratory illnesses, cardiac issues, and many other irreversible health problems. Nobody in one of the richest countries in the world should have to choose between heating, eating, and polluting the air that their children and neighbors breathe, she said. Even the cleaner authorized eco-stoves produced 750 times more PM 2.5 per unit of energy than a modern lorry. In 2023, London Mayor set an air quality limit that means large home and office developments can no longer use wood or solid fuels. The new Air Quality Neutral (AQN) guidance states that all new developments in London must not contribute to net air pollution. Many think that future legislation will go further and urban environments are no place for burning wood. Professor Frank Kelly, from Imperial College, believes all types of burning will have to be phased out. I think it is inevitable that they are banned. In the future, we will have to stop burning things. We will have to move to cleaner alternatives. Old, but not gold, traditional stoves linked to pulmonary diseases in GB Dawn. These wood-burning metal heaters are made up of 3 parts, a fire chamber, a chimney, and a cooking surface, and are used throughout the year. These wood-burning metal heaters are made up of 3 parts, a fire chamber. People in urban parts of the region burn plastic bags and similar. Committee could look at case for banning wood burners in towns and cities. Daily Mail. Daily Mail. Around 17% of particulate pollution comes from burning wood. Be exploring whether to expand smoke control areas to outlaw the fires. Government data show that wood-burning stoves emit more particulate pollution, the most deadly form of pollution, than road transport. UK's worst air pollution hotspots. Is your area at risk? Daily Mail. Daily Mail. The map shows most of the particulate matter is the largest classification, PM 2.5, which is still invisible to the naked eye and small enough to pass. UK MPs could weigh merits of urban ban on domestic wood burning, air pollution. The Guardian. Wood burning is one of biggest sources of small particle pollution in Britain, having doubled in a decade. The question instead is what level of PM 2.5 is deemed acceptable, he said. The latest stove designs may emit less pollution, but if every excerpt. Wood burning is one of biggest sources of small particle pollution in Britain, having doubled in a decade. The chair of the Environmental Audit Committee, declined to say whether the committee would recommend a ban, as some campaigners had urged. Concern is growing over the impact of domestic wood burning in urban areas, which can lead to the release of large amounts of fine particulate pollution, known as PM2.5, which can pass through the lungs to the bloodstream and penetrate deep into the body. This form of pollution has been linked to severe harms, including heart and respiratory problems, dementia, and reduced intelligence. The head of the UK's main biomass trade body, the Renewable Energy Association, REA, also said the government should consider arguments for a ban within about 4 years. The chief executive of the REA, which represents many sellers of wood as well as other forms of renewable energy, said the government should first work to bring in better regulations and enforce them, then consider a ban. REA suggests, if such regulations proved ineffective, then within a cycle of council elections, up to 4 years, a ban should be considered. Wood burning is one of the 2 biggest sources of small particle pollution in the UK, having doubled in the past decade. Only 8% of homes have wood burners, but they produce more pollution than all the UK's road traffic. The government recently strengthened the regulations on new biomass burners, and promised to clamp down on wood burning that fell foul of the rules. Gary Fuller, of Imperial College London, said, "I am doubtful of the effectiveness of new stove standards." He said real-world performance did not match the idealized conditions in which stoves were tested. Tests also missed some of the stove emissions, he adds, including condensable particles that form in the smoke as it cools, while the chemicals in fire smoke also react while in the air to form new pollution particles, which tests do not capture. James Allen, of Manchester University, added that mean air pollution problems would increase, even with more efficient stoves. There is no safe level of PM2.5 because it has been shown that even small amounts have a measurable effect on health outcomes. The question instead is what level of PM2.5 is deemed acceptable, he said. The latest stove designs may emit less pollution, but if every household in the UK were to install one and use them all simultaneously, we'd likely be in big trouble. The Liberal Democrats and 2 MPs on the committee, the Green Party's Caroline Lucas and Barry Gardner of Labour, also said the EAC should examine wood burners. Tim Farron, environment spokesperson for the Lib Dems, said, the EAC should look into this. The air in Britain's cities urgently needs cleaning up, and that includes restrictions on wood-burning stoves. A sensible approach would be tighter restrictions in built-up urban areas such as London, whilst also acknowledging a nationwide ban would disproportionately hit rural communities. Research has shown that even using dry wood in burners certified by the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs produces large quantities of harmful PM2.5 emissions. A study by the European Environmental Bureau found that a single eco-design wood-burning stove produced the same emissions as 750 HGV lorries. A government spokesperson said, the recently published Environmental Improvement Plan sets out our intent to reduce emissions from domestic burning, and through the Environment Act we introduced changes to make it easier for local authorities to enforce smoke control areas. We will continue our efforts to raise awareness of how to reduce emissions. Pollution Watch, London ULEZ cuts traffic fumes, but heating is concern, The Guardian. The Guardian. This means tackling more than just wood-burning stoves. Burning natural gas, or possibly burning hydrogen in the future, will keep pollution